I've been hungover in a while. I'm pretty hungover.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I went out last night late too. Wow. Yeah. I'm ready to podcast.
Awesome.
Let me tell you.
What's up, Vass?
That was me. That was me 24 hours ago.
Oh yeah.
In fact, my head still hurts.
So I'm on with a load of pissheads this morning, then, am I?
A bit. Yeah. A bit. No Timmy. Fatherly duties.
What? Why?
Fatherly duties.
He's wimping off already.
Really?
Yeah, it's breastfeeding.
Yeah, I bet he is.
I reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
Hotspur America. From the United States to N17, this is the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
When you're at a club like Tottenham, they expect you to win all the time. Be the best club in the country as far as I'm concerned.
Coming to you each week during the season.
Spurs in full cry here. Lamella! Oh, what a goal! And Christian Eriksen has scored!
I hate Arsenal. I just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! And Cafu has put Tottenham in front! Kane comes to the Emirates, scores for Spurs.
We're the Yids in America.
Carried away, but Dix is there to step in!
To dare is to do.
Tottenham Hotspur turning on the style. Glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. The Spurs are still marching on.
This is Hotspur America. Season 4, Episode 28 of the Hotspur America podcast. Coming to you as always from the Community Beer Company, the perfect pub pint to share with your mates. Find us on social media, Hotspur America Pod on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Spreaker, and of course, iTunes. Sam, Newport County won, Spurs won, FA Cup, all that magic of the cup crap, for lower leagues, stung us a little bit yesterday.
Squeaky bum at Newport County, like we'd have it any other way. Yeah, that was us against a team that really was G'd up, organized, coordinated, determined, and we were sloppy in many, many respects, but scathed away with the draw by the hair of our chinny chin chin, and back to Wembley we go.
Yeah, it sucks too, right? Because I'm looking at the schedule, and they're saying that the way that this replay is going to fall is right in between Liverpool and Arsenal. Simon, when you're looking at the pitch, both teams have to play on it, right? They're obviously maybe a little more used to it, but the players that went out on the pitch for the starting 11, it was awful yesterday. Was that the worst Spurs performance you've ever seen?
No, because I think Port Vale in the FA Cup about 30 years ago was probably worse because we lost that one. Well, I think if we cast our minds back to next week, even though I predicted the win, I called it that it would not be easy for us. Yeah. But I didn't expect that first half. That first half was abominable. I was thinking about it again before we went on air, and I can't heap praise on any single player that was in that first half. It was shaky all over the place. Dyer particularly was poor. Trippier, he's trying to do a backward header on the goal. He was like a foot away from it.
Yeah.
KWP had a nightmare of a game.
Shocker. Absolute shocker. And,
Wanyama was off his game. It was just, you pick a player, and they were all culpable in the first half. And what really disappointed me when I thought about it, you got Llorente and Kane up front. But no one was servicing. No one was creative enough to get the ball forward to put them in the position to help. And even Kane and Llorente were not helping each other out either. So even if the ball got close, you could tell what Llorente was trying to do with the hold-up play and kind of shielding the ball to release Kane, but it wasn't working. And he'd lose the ball as often as anyone else that had possession. It was lackluster, disappointing, and they should all hang their heads in shame that it was like that in the first half. And second half, Son obviously added the impetus and got us moving. We pretty much played the second half in their half. And it's interesting how, with that wind, both teams were benefiting of playing against the wind versus with it. So, but every time Newport got the ball back and went down our end, I just feared the worst. I thought that last minute dagger in the chest was coming. But, you're right. We live to fight another day. It is the magic of the Cup. And I think upon reflection, almost 24 hours later, that's how we can look at it. But, there's no getting away that Poch put a pretty strong team out there, but it didn't do the goods in the first half, and he had to change the game plan.
That's one of the things that was a little bit interesting to me was when Pochettino started to make his substitutions. Obviously, the immediate one was Son coming on at halftime for Kyle Walker-Peters, but when he brought Dele on, he takes off Dembele, who I thought was running about the pitch and controlling play, at least in the midfield, as best as anybody could, because Wanyama was simply off his game. Were you a little surprised at that substitution being made, or was that simply fitness for you?
No, not surprised at all, Ken. I thought Dembele was awful again. That was second game since Everton where he's been bad, I think. Wanyama was lacking fitness, I think, again. It was just, you know what a crock of shit, honestly. It was awful.
Go on.
And I think...
So let me pose the same question to you, Vass. Is that the worst performance you've seen, at least in a very, very long time, if not as a total?
Yeah, in a very long time. I mean, as Cup exploits go, Ches is right. The embarrassment at Port Vale is yet to be topped. But yesterday was... this is the third game we've had now on a shit pitch with bad weather. We just about came out of it okay against Swansea. We were dreadful last week against Southampton. And we had a pretty dodgy pitch and rain yesterday. And it just seems to throw our players. And as much as people may bemoan, Poch's team selection or anything like that, these are 10 or 11 full international players out there. And they were getting bullied by Newport that whole first half. We didn't know what we were doing. We were playing fearful. I think the only one actually, in fairness, to come out of any credit in the first half was probably Sissoko. But generally, it was a shit show. And I'm going to rant about Trippier yet again.
Oh.
Not good enough. And as for Llorente, I mean, he might as well not even be there, to be honest with you. And you know me, I always try to back all of our players at all moments. But yesterday, that was just shocking. It was really poor.
Yeah, it's Sam. It's going to show this week, right? We're not the only podcast, obviously, that talks about Spurs each week. There are multiples. They're friends of ours. It is going to be hard to verbalize positives at all this week when you're talking about the team, especially heading into the month and the stretch of games that we have to play that are in front of us. When Poch made his substitutions, you could arguably say that Davis, Ali, and Son had the three best performances of the day. Yes, Kane got a goal, but without the creativity of what Ali was doing and what Son was doing, that is not going to happen. And I thought Davis pretty much shut down the left side once he came in. But that right side was woeful. How do you as a fan quantify any positives whatsoever from yesterday, other than the fact that we managed to squeak out a replay?
Well, the latter. First and foremost, we live to fight another day. Look, it's another week where we can point to the importance of Christian Eriksen. There's no leadership again in terms of development of creativity and sort of we look like a bunch of lost souls out there. I mean, really, I absolutely agree with you, Vass, with Dembele. I mean, he looked like a lost sheep out there. I mean, he was struggling. He was bossed off the ball a number of times, and between he and Wanyama, they weren't any kind of controlling influence. In other words, they were never sort of settled. They never had any real ideas to what to do with the ball. There was nothing constructive that came out of them, and Dyer was sort of the same as well. So in terms of encouragement, how do you come away? You think, okay, well, look, we're obviously going to play better. We'll play up to our crowd, and we'll have Eriksen back. But look, I mean, it bad when Vasconi is pissed off at players. It bad. Yeah, listen, so I'm nervous.
You're right, though. I mean, at the end of the game, I was actually relieved that we got a draw.
Yeah.
and we're still in the hat for the next round, and we get a chance to do it again, to get through. And I know what Kenny said about the fixture being is it between the Liverpool game and the Arsenal game when it comes around. But then with Wanyama looking for fitness, Rose and Toby probably back looking for fitness by that point, Lamella looking for fitness, it may not be a bad thing. So, he had a few youngsters on the bench yesterday, I guess half in hope that we'd be winning the game and then he'd be able to bring them on. But he left experience on the bench as well in case the game was going awry, and he had to resort to those guys in the end. But possibly come the Wembley fixture, he may be able to integrate a few more youngsters, and because really that's a game we've got to be winning at home, in all honesty.
When you struggle in the midfield like that, Vass, are you hoping maybe that an Oliver Skip gets a look maybe in the second leg of this?
Not really. I think in the second leg, the best we can hope for is maybe seeing Carl Walker-Peters again, but hopefully on the right side this time as opposed to the left. And I think he had Tash and Oakley-Booth on the bench yesterday, and also Anthony Georgiou. So, I would have probably tried Georgiou as left wing back yesterday instead of Carl Walker-Peters, but because he just looks out of sorts on the left. He's not really a left-sided player. He plays that side for the England under-20s or whatever, but really it's a different ball game at this level, and I think he really needs to play on the right. And he showed how well he can play on the right. In the first game of the season up at Newcastle, we got man of the match. So persisting with him on the left because there's no other alternatives is causing a bit of an issue at the minute.
Look, I know everybody's in an outrage about yesterday, and the performance is crap, but that was, and don't take this too far, that was a good team. That was a good, organized, spirited group at home, playing with all of the majesty of the FA Cup. I mean, that was their sort of proverbial Super Bowl. And I think, Ken, maybe you mentioned this last week, and to be honest, I think I kind of laughed it off about that being a banana peel match. And I thought, no, man,
yeah.
And if that was the match we were talking about, it sure was. So I mean, like I don't say there's no shame in that because there's shame in that performance, but it's a pretty tough team. It's a pretty tough, well organized, and definitely well coached, directed team.
I think the shame would have been if we'd have lost, Sam. I think there's no shame in getting a draw, really, in the cup. It was disappointing, clearly. Frustrating, but like you say, they did play well, and it was a tricky tie. But that's all we can take from it, really.
Yeah, the more frustrating thing was the Spurs Twitterati losing their shit from kick-off till the 80th minute, and then
meltdown. Epic. That was probably the biggest. That's probably the biggest social media meltdown. Yeah. People were just absolutely.
I think the only tweet that I put out during the whole match was when they scored. I just said that was deserved by Newport.
Yeah,
they absolutely deserved.
Yeah, they should have had one really early, right? They had that guy. God, he was just absolutely almost. I mean,
Rosette. At least
it was him and warm, and not even 10 yards that separated them, and I was like, oh, thank fuck for that. But yeah,
go ahead. Sam,
I got one good takeaway, which was, and I think Vass and I are in agreement on this. Juan Foyth, I thought really grew into the game, and it's funny. I looked at who scored. And they have him as our highest rated player yesterday.
Really?
I thought, I think a bit shaky at the start, and I think grew his way into the game, particularly in the second half, and did a lot of sort of cool-handed things where he was in some kind of pressured situations, and even though he may appear to be slight in stature, he looked confident, and I think it was enjoyable to watch for me.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things too was from a neutral's point of view. It's really hard not to look. You always want the minnow to knock off the shark, right? But their story is a little interesting to me in that, if I heard this correctly when I was watching the broadcast yesterday, their manager, when he was appointed, had zero experience at managing a soccer team or football team. Rather, he nothing. Like he had no experience doing it. That team and that manager have kind of grown together over the course of however long he's been there into the team that they are. And kudos to their fans. I mean, they came out and filled the place, and it was brilliant, Vass. I mean, from that perspective, for as many games that you've refereed and watched over the course of time, if you're a neutral, is that like the team that you want to latch on to, something like that?
Yeah, of course.